It's always nice to have a second pair of eyes, or a third and a fourth. And we're going to take all 4 of our pairs of eyes into Country Squire. This is the only antique store within 50 miles in any direction. So let's see what they've got.
Here with friends today, Zeno and our friends Laura and Melissa are with us. And it's great because it gives me a different perspective to see what they like to shop.
This is an unusual hall stand in that it has an actual cushioned seat with the leather that's coming out. And that is the reason that it's a little bit more unique. It's got the little brass stands for the umbrellas to sit, but then you could sit there and you have a little drawer to put your gloves. You have a place to sit while you change your shoes. It looks like it's in great shape. Interesting mix of veneers. The spoon carving tells me it's about $18.90 and they are asking $1,000 for it. Well, I have to say this is a pretty shop. It's a nice shop. They have nice things. It's well displayed. Oh, that's kind of cute. It's sort of graceful and elegant. I like that shape. A lot of people are starting to do tea sets again for like bridal showers and things, I hear. And oh yeah, this is Austrian. It is cute. Yeah, it's probably from about 1920. What do they want for that set? $79. Yeah, that's probably about what they go for. Yeah, they don't have these lit, but obviously they would light under a black light. I always like the canister sets from the 30s. And they have $40 on the salt and pepper, which is really not a bad price for the fact that they glow. Nowadays, people will buy those for that price and then some.
That seems like a good price.
You mean the flower frog?
Mm-hmm.
For $32?
Well, a lot for those.
They do, but they're actually more common than people realize. I'm so obsessed with the green that they don't look for the yellow, but the yellow is the original color, and this one has the riggery. It's opalescent. It doesn't have a lot of wear on the bottom, so this might be a 20th century piece, but it is something to look for if you're a uranium glass collector. This is the OG color, is the yellow Vaseline rather than the green. Thank you. Yeah, this all has it because it's 30s and it's more yellowy, and then this is Fostoria out of the 50s and it's just not quite the same shade. This is a nice Incolate plate in a color we don't see very often. It's called Enchanted. This company started in California and it's to look like ivory on darker colors, and it's really a very pretty one, I must say. And this one is priced at, it looks like $32.98, which I actually think is a pretty good deal for what it is. Nice pretty lusterware set here. You've got the salt box and the various canisters for oatmeal and rice and an oil and vinegar bottle, priced at $160. Turn of the century portrait vases. And then a whole bunch of Shawnee corn. I do like this pattern. It's a lot of fun. They've got some good pieces. They've got the cookie jar at $149. They've got the pitcher at $84. $30 on the range size salt and pepper shakers. I imagine that this pattern is particularly popular in this part of the country, although I do sell it well out west too. It's like a pretty fair deal too on the Fenton Berry Bowl set. You have the master bowl and 8 of the little bowls, and this is priced at $120 for the whole set. You know, that's 9 pieces. That breaks down to about $15 each. You could probably make money on that if you broke it apart as a dealer, but I hate the idea of breaking apart the set that's stayed together its whole life. A pair of Satsuma vases here. These have age. These are going to date to right about 1900. They're a little less detailed than the previous generation. That's how you can tell. There's 3 eras of these. The first era, everything's very highly detailed because they're trying to sell them to wealthy people in the States who've never seen them before. Then they start being known and they start being the province of pavilions at World's Fairs and things around the 1890s. And by the 1910s, they're real cheap and sloppy and just being made as cheap exports. I haven't seen that set of kitchen towels before.
It's all right there.
Little Bo Peep by Shawnee and Little Boy Blue, $72.50 and $70 on those. Torquay pottery. This one is the little teapot for $16. That's actually a very good price. Don't Be Afraid, out now. And this one for $22 something is Do Something. Do good if you can, but do something. Nice little American oak commode. I like commodes because they're small. I like the fact that now that we don't put a potty device inside that little chamber, there's actually a nice little square section that you can use for storage of other things besides just drawers. And the price on this one, the handles have been replaced and it's been restored, but it is the original wood, and they've got $5.40 on that one. And the Blendo set here is $59. I always like the Hazel Atlas sailboat sets out of the 1930s. This is one line of depression glass that I think is fun because it's a standalone. You don't have to collect all the plates. In fact, the plates are very hard to find, but the beverage sets you see more often, $75 for that one. Various lanterns here. I see a railroad lantern with a red globe. It's priced at $110. It would have to be from a pretty obscure place. Well, city of New York. Now that actually might, in New York, be worth the price, so I get that now. This one's the Southern Railway. Oh, that does have a strong glow.
Easy to see on this one.
Interesting. Yeah, the cadmium doesn't always glow so strongly as that, so that is interesting. And notice it's where that's more the bright orange and not so much the red. This thing does not belong on this 1870s or 80s era dresser with the candle stand. Well, that would be this ruby piece here, which is Fostoria's heirloom. But it looks like the dealer does know what it is. They have $58 on it. And that's pretty much a fair price for that one in the ruby. Little Bakelite checker set there is $125. $30 on the Louisville stoneware here is not a bad price for the rooster at all. The blue geese are actually priced higher. I would think this would be easier to sell, but look out for the blue geese. They are coming back. You do have a lot of furniture here, and I like the marble top pieces, as you know, and I feel like they're starting to come back. This is a marble washstand, about $18.90 with the stamped brass pulls, and this one's priced at $265, which for what it is, I think is a pretty fair price. I do believe that we're starting to see interest in the marble again. This piece here is sold. They were having a sale. That's an old sign. We'll just leave that alone. I'm sure if we see something that we really love to have, that they'll probably make us a deal. These are by Hall China, but they say Carbone on the bottom usually when you see them. Let's see if we can... Yep. Hall and then Carbone was the company that they made these for. Cute with the ducks, and the three of them they have at $75, which is not bad for three. Quilts are definitely popular in this part of the country. Their prices don't seem too bad. This Diamond Crazy quilt is $95, and it is a little worn here. This one's interesting because it's a newer one, but it actually shows you the names of some of the pieces. This actually will be a good thing to show because I need to bone up on my quilt patterns too, and someone has done the work for us. So here we go. Let's see what we have. These are a lot of synthetic and 1970s, 80s colors, but this will tell us some things that'll be helpful for when we see older ones. So they refer to this as 5440 or Fight, the year 2000, so you know this was done more recently. This is called Card Tricks. That makes sense. Monkey Wrench here. I get that. Drunkard's Path. That's a fairly famous old pattern. That's Log Cabin. Road to Oklahoma. I had not heard of that before. I guess because of the arrows. Lovely Laura and the lovely Melissa are helping us to show you these quilt patterns. So here's Star Variation, Stormy Sea, Rolling Stone, Maple Leaf here, which you can, Maple Leaf is kind of an obvious one, I guess. A variation on 9-patch, Grandmother's Fan, we see that one a lot, and Ohio Star, Brasstown Star. This one says it is a sawtooth square. I've always liked that pattern. Bow tie, belt buckle, rail fence. You quilters already know this stuff, but for those of us who are going around trying to identify things like ribbon and Ruth's block and double T, this is going to be very helpful to me. The Peacemaker, that looks like it's actually a sewing machine, I get it. Shoe fly and pinwheel are old patterns that have been around for a long, long time. Circle and a cube, the horse is obvious. Covered bridge. Log cabin variation where it's not a matching set of two different patterns, but it's just square blocks. Moon over the mountain, and of course House on the Hill. Baby bird, or baby bud as they say there. Double Z, another log cabin variation. Churn dash. Ruby Nugent was the one who did all of this, so thank you, Ruby. This was done about 20 years ago, and we appreciate you sharing your knowledge. Friendship Block Formal Garden. Oh yeah, she did a lot actually. Log Cabin, double 4 patch. There's 4 Seasons, King's X, Corner 9 patch. That looks good when you have a lot of that repeating. Attic Windows. So there is a really great, easy way to know your quilts. You just have to rewind this video, which I'll be doing a lot. Here's a bunch of the Red Riding Hood. Now, is this the older? Let's take a look. That did not have the hallmark, and these feel pretty lightweight. So I'm thinking this is actually not new and not reproduction, but maybe an offshore attempt at these that was done in the 1950s. Now this one says 1950s McCoy, and McCoy never made this, so I'm getting a little more suspicious yet. And look at that, guys. That is absolutely a fake. This was never made by McCoy. So when you see this, run away. Red Wing Chef cookie jar. That's an unusual color with the blue speckle. 110's a little bit high for it though, even though it's a scarce color. Half off inside the cabinet here. A lot of occupied Japan and 50s Japan pieces. Pulitzer music sign is a good seller. This one is priced at $137.50. That's from about 1950. America's favorite nickel's worth of fun. Smoked Camel cigarettes. Cool stuff. I don't see anything I think I can afford here. $225 on the 7-Up display with the Peter Max style graphics from the early 70s when it became the Uncola. The painted topper to the Kitchen Queen, you'd need some sort of a base for it. But it's a great store display. $75 for the set of 1940 spice jars. I'd like the lids to be cleaner, but that's about the right price. For a treat, smoke Old Gold. $3.50 on that. That's embossed. It's got some age. Half price isn't bad on the big number 7 teapot here. This is cast iron. It's 20th century, but it's actually a pretty decent one with the swivel lid. I still like the patriotic pillow covers that people sent back to their parents and sweethearts in the Second World War. This one, unfortunately, is very faded. It has the old Army Air Corps designation on it. This is for someone's sister. To my wife with the Air Forces. And this one's out of Miami Beach, Florida. If it wasn't stained, that would be worth getting just because it says Miami Beach. This one is Presque Isle, Maine, but the felt is a little worn. These don't often stay in good shape. Now this booth is 50% off. This guy is not for sale, the old Vendo, but let's see what else is in R4 that we might be able to take home with us. A bunch of 1977 Kentucky Derby glasses. These would be $4 each. Not a bad price. This is the Your Seattle Slew one. All right, let's see what we can find that might be a bargain. This does sell around here. The Aladdin teapot would be $26 with the discount. Custard cups would be $5 a piece. That almost gives me enough margin, but not quite. They were priced a little over retail to begin with, so half price doesn't quite bring it down enough for me. I like the 50s canister set though, and that is $14. And they are not in bad shape, and you just don't see these sets anymore. They were common as could be. A lot of them rusted out over the years. They were made by various companies in the United States. This one doesn't have a mark on it that I can tell. It's not a Canco or one of those. But I think for $14, that might just have to go with me, because you just don't see them anymore. The Kern's Bread sign with the chalkboard would have been in a lot of grocery stores in the 60s and 70s, and they want $112.50 with the discount, so that's going to stay there. C-Don Ensor did the decoy print in the 70s. It is signed. Actually, this one says 1987. I didn't realize he was still doing them as far up as that. It's going to be $65 with the discount. That has the...
That does.
Right. That is Fenton, and it originally would have had a shade to match.
Right.
So this is a replacement shade, even though it's a good fit. This is Royal Hager, and this is Flowerware. That was their floral line. It's a little thinner than their usual stuff, but it is usually marked Royal Hager. That's $24.50. Cute little Aladdin lamps here. This was made by the same Aladdin company that made thermoses and lunchboxes in Nashville back in the day. The vase in the middle is a McCoy, very springy looking. Bunch of Watt pottery in that case. So they have some of the things that collectors definitely look for. My kindergarten teacher used a zither like this all the way up until 1970. She was 70 years old then. Aha, yes, that one will definitely glow. And it's interesting because that color, it's only if it's the 1930s, because the 50s stuff doesn't. I've always liked this particular piece. This is a McCoy piece. It has the look of an old Weller piece. It was $1.79 when it was new. But that was, gosh, 70 years ago. And it is now priced at $37.50, which for that flower arranger is really not a bad price at all. I have to say, I haven't seen things that I can buy for resale here, but I've seen plenty that as a collector is priced absolutely fairly for what it is. And would be less than if you had to pay for shipping online. $69 on the pink Fenton. It's definitely a place I'll stop back on my way through this part of Kentucky. This old jalopy sitting up in the air in front of an old shed, this is Trader Days, and this doesn't happen very often, and we're catching the tail end of it, so let's see if there's anything left for us to trade. One thing in the bottom of this I'd like to check out. Okay, I was hoping that had a little more age, but it doesn't, so we'll just leave that behind. Someone has hybridized an old floor lamp with an old candelabra. And we've got a box of what looks like restaurant ware here with the black and floral pattern, USA. I believe this is Royal China, even though it doesn't have a mark. But I don't have a customer for that. And that Fiesta is newer color than I usually sell. Little pile of gooseberry here on the ground, the Corel pattern here. That definitely sells from time to time. I always think of the Brady Bunch because their kitchen was that color. Anchor Hawking creamer and sugar in that box, along with a lot of newer stuff. A very old Ringer washing machine. A lot of piles of stuff here. Usual old dishware and old kitchenware. Now this piece, if it's old, is a pretty neat pattern glass piece, and it does look old. It's got a lot of bubbles in it, which, you know, the early pieces were not necessarily so well formed. That is Admiral Dewey. It definitely has a lot of wear. And the Olympia is Battleship. If we can find the vendor here, might have interest in that one, because that's cross-collectible both for pattern glass collectors and for war memorabilia. Drink Coca-Cola. Grayson County Supply Company, Leitchfield, Kentucky, that old farm cart, $3,500. Looks like it's pretty complete and been kept pretty well. And of course, local interest is going to make that the most valuable right where we are. Old turquoise trash can for $10. Plastic dogs, yes. Again, some plastic signs. $8 for the old washboard's pretty good deal, and then we've got the glass one underneath, also $8, but it's a little split up at the top. Not sure what the trophies are for. Husqvarna sign for $100. An old grapette machine. We don't see grapette very often. That label is newer than the machine is. Somebody bought this old tractor for $600. That is a real old one. Farmall, looks like probably 1920s or 30s. This early 1900s, it looks like a threshing machine, is $500.
Oh, the whole thing?
Yep. And $325 for the old Farm Bureau co-op gas pump. The birds, that's definitely back from the time I was born and earlier. Nice little showcase there. Some old bottles. I think we've missed a lot of the little stuff, but we're still going to see if there's anything left. Big old temple rubbing for 160. That's quite large. Old print block trays. There's a few blocks in them still, looks like. Texas, Washington, and Ohio. Whole lot of Washington in there. Tooled leather saddle. That makes the other one look like a bargain, though.
You all just getting here?
Oh, yeah.
We just showed up.
All this stuff's done sold, but this right here has it.
Oh,
sure.
Little pile there.
This I'll sell its ability right here.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, I was looking for little stuff. Thanks, though. Looks like they sold the whole lot of this stuff to somebody. Over here we have an old looking, this is an older clock here with the lithophane. Delicious hay. That's a pretty cool repurposing of a bunch of metal stuff. Well, we'll have to try Trader Days a little earlier in the day the next time we get through here. Bins for the... What? Well, it is time to go relax and have some ice cream. I thank my friends for indulging me in shopping around Leitchfield. I think we hit most of the places. We spent under $30, but we probably got about $75 worth of glass, and it's our chance to pose. So I hope you enjoyed this, and
if you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.